Obama caught defrauding Americans in massive secret scandal to fund his special project by Sassy Liberty for DailyVine.com. Many Americans have long been critical and frankly fed up with the benefits afforded to illegal aliens at the expense of Americans. Yet there is a group of progressive leftists that seem to think America should have open borders and share the fruits of her labor with anyone that wants to hand out. Those same people widely criticize President Donald Trump's termination of the Obama administration's DACA program. Many Americans support DACA on some level due to a public perception that dreamers have committed no crime other than illegal entry, and that through no fault of their own. However, that perception may not be based in reality. In fact, according to the Washington Times, what is reality is that many, if not most, DACA applicants who held regular jobs had committed the crime of perjury by providing their employers with a stolen or fake Social Security number for tax reporting purposes. The Social Security Administration has estimated that 3 out of every 4 illegal aliens possess a Social Security number that belongs to somebody else. When U.S. Citizens and Immigration Services began accepting DACA applications on August 15, 2012, applicants were required to complete a standard work authorization form that required applicants to include all Social Security numbers they have ever used. In other words, many DACA applicants would have been obliged to confess in writing that they had committed a felony. However, as soon as this potential distinctive disincentive to apply to DACA was brought to the administration's attention, USCIS rushed out a statement that they were not interested in identifying individual violations of some federal law in an employment relationship, and they amended their DACA website to limit the reporting of Social Security numbers by DACA applicants to those officially issued to you by the Social Security Administration. How convenient. Of course, proponents of this de facto amnesty for Social Security fraud quickly caught on spreading the word to those that seek to exploit American workers and their hard-earned wages to their own ends. For example, see the notice from the National Immigration Law Center when they ask the question, are you or your clients waiting to apply for DACA because you've used a Social Security number that was not yours? Or is your employer afraid to provide you with employment records out of fear of immigration enforcement? Helpful new guidance from USCIS may answer your questions. Many DACA supporters have even argued that such Social Security fraud perpetrated by so-called dreamers does not directly harm any American citizen, despite the fact that it is indeed a criminal offense. In fact, California State Senate President Pro Tem Kevin Leon, saw fit to brag about how half his family was in the country illegally using false documents and eligible for deportation under President Trump's executive order against sanctuary jurisdictions. He bragged of his family's illegal actions against everyday working Americans while he introduced SB 54, the bill to make California a sanctuary state, while testifying before the Senate Public Safety Committee in defiance of federal immigration laws. De Leon stated, I can tell you half of my family would be eligible for deportation under President Donald Trump's executive order because if they got a false Social Security card, if they got a false identification, if they got a false driver's license prior to us passing ABC 60, if they got a false green card, and anyone who has family members who are undocumented knows that almost entirely everybody has secured some sort of false identification. That's what you need to survive to work. They are eligible for massive deportation. Unbelievable. So, in other words, everything can be false, you know? De Leon defended the widespread practice of illegal aliens of using fraudulent documents to work and obtain taxpayer-paid benefits, all while dismissing any and all concerns that American citizens residing in California might have about being targeted for identity theft. Except identity theft is rampant and the government is actively concealing its existence from American citizens. Just 8 short days after DACA commenced on August 23, 2012, the Obama administration ordered the Social Security Administration to seize and suspend the decades-old practice of notifying employees by mail if the name and Social Security number under which their wages were being reported by their employers were not an exact match to the name and Social Security number in the SSA's own records, or any other disciplinary discrepancy, that may exist. Many mismatches to Social Security number reporting can be directly attributed to identity fraud. That means that dreamers would have and should have received mismatched letters from the Social Security Association, and in turn, potential fraud could have been and should have been detected and addressed. At the very least, typos or misinformation should have been corrected. It was widely thought that such awareness that they had been flagged by the government as potential identity thieves might be a deterrent to disclosing their potential whereabouts in a DACA application. As a means to avoid this fear of discovery, suspension of the SSA program was a logical add-on to the other actions taken by the administration to prevent any fear of potential identity theft prosecution from depressing DACA applications. In other words, the Obama administration gave these illegals the green light to perpetrate fraud against the American people. Now there's a surprise, right? The Washington Times also reports additional and alternate reasons for mismatches, not necessarily due to fraud, but to inadvertent errors in the tax reporting forms that the worker supplied to the employer or the employer supplied to the SSA. One very common error is a female using her married name, yet not notifying the SSA of the name change. As a result, mismatched letters were therefore a vital tool for protecting the Social Security benefits of U.S. citizens and other lawful workers. If the worker was unaware of the mismatch and had no opportunity to correct the error, he or she would receive no Social Security benefits on account of the reported wages. According to SSA, over a 5-year period in the 1990s, approximately 1.7 million workers responded to mismatched letters and had missing wages reinstated to their accounts. That statistic affords a conservative estimate of the number of U.S. citizens who likely lost credit for Social Security wages in the more than 5 years since DACA was initiated and the mismatch program suspended. Although the SSA's mismatch program was suspended on August 23, 2012, the suspension was not made public until more than 4 years later, on September 16, 2016, as the Obama administration drew to a close. Even then, the fact of the suspension was buried in a footnote to an SSA records maintenance notice, and until now was virtually unknown outside the SSA. Evidently, the Obama administration was not keen to advertise its decision to risk the loss of Social Security benefits for millions of American workers rather than risk dissuading a few 100,000 dreamers from applying for DACA. So he covered their butts at the expense of the American worker. That's all. That's not a surprise here. I mean, look at what De Leon is saying. False driver's license, and I mean, really? It's unbelievable. The mess this country is in. I don't know how Trump can clean it up. It is amazing what was going on over here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.